Welcome back to Zen. I'm Blasphemous, and you may have noticed, but the colors appear to be getting a little bit harsher the closer we get to the final boss. I don't know if that's what's intentional, but it certainly seems like an interesting design choice. That appears to be a lot of rockets. I wonder if they're trying to tell us something. Yeah, things are definitely seeming to be on the, something's coming sort of end. But, so, here we are in this wide open, very arena-like place. And the science team is sending us these containers. I don't know if they've noticed something that we haven't, but, well, I'm sure whatever it is, it'll hit us in a second. Anyway, our goal here is, well, to go around and activate all these crystals. And the game's very helpfully teaching us that we can long jump in several directions other than forward. Yeah, that may or may not be somewhat useful in the very near future. One more here. Alrighty, and let's see, the last one is okay, on this floating island over here. Yeah, it would also appear that the game is trying to top our health off, so yeah. If it wasn't obvious enough by yet another canister full of rockets, yeah. This teleporter we're about to activate might not go off as smoothly as we might hope. Meet the Gonarch. Yes, that's its name. It is, well, it was in the original Half-Life. Although, in a surprising contrast, its, thingy is actually less floppy than it used to be. However, it is also dramatically more aggressive. Like, tell you something here, there is an achievement, if you can call it that, for getting the Gonarch to go knocking you out into the void. What is with all these stupid joke achievements anyway? Like, this is really kind of missing the whole point of rewarding people for stuff. But there it goes. In the original game, it would actually just be a sort of 3-round fight where it would run off charging through a wall and you'd have to chase it and fight it again. But let's just say that this level is going to be a little bit more expanded than that. But first, before we go chasing after it, we should probably top ourselves off as much as we can. Let's just say that, yeah, our future encounters are going to be very taxing on us, and we want every advantage that we can get. But first, there's actually a secret around here that is not really that obvious. For a particular reason, we can only activate it after seeing the Gonarch and driving it away. We can get up here any time, but if we get up here before, then it won't actually activate. which is, well, a little unusual. And yeah, the long jump was designed for horizontal platforming. Trying to get up to a slightly elevated slope is not really in its wheelhouse, which is a little bit different than what you're usually used to. Like most games, they give you a double jump, but here it's strictly a dash only. And also there are these invisible walls that aren't entirely obvious that also can mess you up. Okay, so careful. Up here, and the pizza is a lie. If you've been on the internet any time, like within the last 10 or so years, you'll probably know what that means, but, well, once we get around to a little game called Portal, it will all make sense. And then you'll probably hate them for it. Anyway, here's a message.
Miller, you're never going to believe who I just ran into today. Dr. Horn. I couldn't believe it. I thought that guy had vanished off the face of the planet. I mean, he keeps himself cooped up in those labs all day long. Sure as hell hope they have a shower in there or something. Because good lord does he need it. Anyway, we got to talking during our lunch break. Apparently, the good doctor's getting ready to file some complaints against multiple people. One of which being Security Officer Sisk. Now, you got my performance review on Sisk, and I gave that guy top marks, so suffice it to say, I was a bit put off by it. But I decided to play along, and I said, well, Dr. Horn, what seems to be the problem? And that's when things got really weird. He seems to think that everyone in his department, and Security Officer Sisk, is going behind his back and stealing his slices of pizza, one by one, out from under him when he's not looking. Says it's their way of taunting him or something. Then he goes on about saying how he thinks some of the other doctors on his team are trying to break into the lab that he and Dr. Junik only have access to. He's even said that he's gone as far as putting down fingerprint lifting powder to catch them by trying to match their prints. I shit you not, that's what he said. Honestly, sir, I did not know how to respond at first. I mean, normally I would have been all witty and sarcastic-like, but this was a whole new level of weird that I just wasn't prepared for, especially with this guy, So I asked him, do you have any proof? He just looked at me straight in the eye and said, I can smell the pepperoni on their breath. Then he turned around and walked away. So, I think that guy's been cooped up in that lab for too long. That's my official stance on this. He's got the cabin fever and is owning it like a boss.
No. Guess who just locked himself out of his office again?
Aw, not Kleiner.
No. Guess who's in the vents? He's already halfway there. You ain't going to beat him. He ain't going to beat him.
So that there was Barney Calhoun. We'll be seeing more of him when we get to Blue Shift. Well, needless to say, that whole thing, since it's a Dr. Horn thing, is completely non-canon, so don't worry about it at all. In fact, I kind of worry that I might have just wasted your time. Oh well. So, this kind of looks interesting. Nothing could go wrong here, right? Well, what do you know? Still, we appear to have gotten to some kind of a base, and it looks like the expedition team set up a little bungalow around here. Wonder what they were up to. Oh look, a detonator. And that actually teaches us a different thing about these sort of reddish funnel things they're constantly pumping out natural gas, and if anything flammable goes off near them, then they'll start just spewing fire everywhere. This is important. Like, it's something that we definitely need to get to know. So, for instance, a single bullet. Instant fire. And actually, yeah, like, this even extends to our crowbar. Just whacking these things will make them go off. Which is very handy, I guess. It means that we can progress even if we somehow, through some stupidity, use all of our ammunition. So, we saw this platform before in the other side, but this one is special, since it can transport a gas canister to a point later on in the level, but we don't have a gas canister, do we? Well, now we do. And I acquired it through completely legitimate methods, so a little underwhelming, but yeah. We'll be seeing that canister again later on in the video, so look out for that. So how do we progress? Well, you see this web here? I'm going to set this web on fire. Yeah, these things can actually hold up to all kinds of abuse, like from any of our weapons, but if you put a fire source near them, they'll just go up like a candle. Sounds like our friend is here. I guess we couldn't expect too much peace. And I guess just in case we left our rocket launcher behind somehow. Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but hello, exploding goo. Yeah. Now, the Gonarch in the original game could throw, like, shots of, like, white spunk sort of stuff, like, that would eventually create, like, an explosion, so it's kind of like that. Except, also, this version can fire it out in like a shotgun. That was a bit of a mistake there, my bad. And, well, crass as it might be to call the Gonarch by a number of ball-shaped kind of puns, the fact of the matter is that that's basically how the original designers intended it. Like, according to Gabe Newell, the design meeting was basically just someone said, what if we made a spider with a big dangly ball sack? I kid you not. Evidently, things at Valve were just that kind of humor, because they also made a monster called Mr. Friendly, who, got very cozy with Gordon Freeman, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, Mr. Friendly did not make it into the base game, and for good reason. So, we're having a bit of a break here to shoot at regular monsters. It's not something that was really in the original chapter. Basically all you did was, yeah, you had a bit of a skirmish with some head crabs here and there, like if you went off the beaten path in order to go for supplies. But otherwise, it was just you and the Gonarch. Another really short level, and one you could probably resolve in less than 10 minutes. Like, I don't know if you're familiar at all with Ross Scott, but he made a series called Freeman's Mind, where he presented Freeman as an unhinged psychotic. But even with all his play acting and everything, he managed to do the whole Gonarch fight in about 9.5 minutes. So, that should tell you something. So, coming up is a bit that, well, I'm not exactly too fond of. You see, there are some more explosives strung up, but for some reason, the detonator is up here in the webs. So, what we just have to do is hold our ground until the Gonarch knocks the detonator down. Which is, well, I don't know, hold your ground sequences are somewhat up there in terms of things that don't really make me excited, but hey, you know what? At least I got to use the snarks for something, right? Okay, that wasn't my wisest moment. But whatever, we're done here. Or are we? Crap, crap, crap. Yeah, this thing, it actually doesn't chase us into these caves, but, well, I kind of panicked a little bit. And you know the deal with hound eyes, you really don't want to panic around them. They can kind of just swarm you all like that. Oh, what? Again? You know, in the original game, you were the one chasing it. Like, it would keep on running away and you'd have to run after it and keep shooting it. Kind of feels like, you know, if the thing just wanted to live and let live, we could maybe go our separate ways and not actually bother one another. But no, it wants a piece of me. Well, nuts to that. Yeah, one thing to note, by the way, yeah, if the crystals aren't sparking, they don't have energy in them. That's worthy of note. So, another lily pad section, but no sharks to be found. What is the section instead? Well, it's a poisonous swamp. Fortunately, much like if you start drowning, getting out of the water heals you up back to where you were, so it's actually not as dangerous as it could be. Yep, here it is again. You know, this is only going to end in one way. And well, while I feel like I'm possessed of an infinite amount of endurance, I don't think the same can be said for this creature. Like, I can keep running as long as it takes. Oh, hey fella. Excuse me for a second. Oh, that's just nasty. Yeah, you don't have to stay and fight here, and in fact it's probably not a good idea to do so. Just keep running, and eventually you'll get out of there. Well, yeah, even the quiet moments aren't exactly safe. Out of my way, webs. Yep, did you hear that groaning? There's an ichthyosaur around here somewhere. And unfortunately, in order to progress, we've got to raise the water level, so... yeah, there's a shark in our future. And we gotta look out for it. But first, do you remember that one bit where a Heku guy threw a satchel charge into a pipe? Yeah, this is kind of like that. Nice shiny rocks, by the way. Like, the fire really brings out the shininess in them. Yeah, easy as it might be to assume that we'd be under attack at any moment, actually, we've only got to worry about the ichthyosaur right at the end of this section. Instead, yeah, we got some barnacles to worry about. Well, a little explosive will do them in. Or not. Well, how about a big explosive? Yeah, that did the trick. Don't mind that little cut there. It was just me kind of wandering back and forth, lost for a second. You didn't want to see that. More barnacles. Say hi. The fact of the matter is that in this section you actually do want to get rid of the barnacles as much as you can, because they're tendril thingies. They always ascend to the top of the water level. So, because of that, it's going to be always a threat no matter how high the water gets. Take this bit for instance. Like, I want to get out of the water, but if I nudge myself a little bit too far to the left, then I get caught by the thing. So, yeah, only really one thing to do. So, when we have this little moment of peace, I wanted to kind of talk about why I feel like this version of Gonarch's Lair sort of creates a separate mood from the original. Like in the original, yeah, you were just invading a creature's nest and it was constantly running away from you, and then you were chasing it and you kept on shooting it, so you could really get the idea that, no, like, you were the one who was the invader here. But honestly, no. Like, the Gonarch is being, like, ridiculously aggressive towards us, and it's like, you know, after a certain point, it sort of erodes the sympathy you might have. I tell you what, though, like, you know, I said that the colors were getting harsher, but still, like, this crystal water here, it does look sort of vibrant, albeit not as rich as the purples that we were seeing before. Oh, I don't trust this. Webbing is never a solid foothold. Especially since, yeah, once we burn the upper layer away, we're going to have to drop a rock on this little bit of webbing here. I'm assuming that, you know, they're intending us to take care of the head crabs that way by, you know, dropping the ceiling on them, but I don't know. I just like to detonate them. And besides, there's actually an achievement for blowing up 5 enemies with a grenade. And, well... Yeah, that was actually kind of easy. I tell you one thing. This LP has actually been very therapeutic when it comes to my fear of sharks. Like, when I first started this, I was actually afraid to do the sequence of the shark cage again. Like, I had so many bad memories of it. But now I can just kind of swim with the ichthyosaurs and shoot them in the face without any worries. So, I'm not sure where I'm going with that. Like, I'm not entirely certain that makes me a more, balanced member of society, but at the very least, you know, conquering your fears and all that. Now then, once the Gonarch clears away, it's going to be time for us to run. The final fight is upon us. First, there's a secret. Do you remember the gas canister that we teleported? Well, here we are. can actually, if we're inclined, get shot at by the Gonarch while just trying to flee. We don't actually have to fight it if we use this method. But the door doesn't open unless we teleport the gas canisters, so if you don't have it, then you're forced to go down this path instead.
Power level is 100%.
So, in this fight, the Gonarch has all of its attacks that it used to, but something's changed now. Once you start to do enough damage to it, then you'll start to see it showing signs of being in pain, and then the real change happens. Yep, once it stumbles, it starts to slow down, and, well, its attacks change. It starts to lose certain attacks, and yet, others it starts to do with more frequency. So in a sense, it gets less, versatile, but it doesn't get any less deadly. Because you see, the more attacks it loses, the faster it starts to use the only attacks it has. There are a few achievements associated with the fights against the Gonarch. If you let it throw you into the void in the first battle, if you kill it with the gas, if you don't kill it with the gas, and in this last phase, if you kill it landing the finishing blow with a crowbar. I'm not doing that because, well, I mean, obviously its attacks are a lot slower, but still, if you get too close, it will scratch you. And that stings. My, does it ever. Not much more now. And it's done. Did I want to do this fight? No, of course I didn't. But the fact is that, at least in this version, the thing forced the issue. Well, I've taken down one of Zen's mightiest warriors. And, well, we've seen this red citadel thing multiple times. And here we are. I'll see you guys next time when we infiltrate a factory.